Hey, have you ever had an idea of your next season or your next chapter? You're getting a clear picture on what that might be, but you're not exactly sure how to get there. In one of the videos I did a 5 steps to discover your next season. And in this video, I want to give you the 5 things essential to move into your next season. So one's discovery, and this is the action part of it. I have coached hundreds through the discovery process. And then I've given them these 5 things that will actually help them to execute to get there. And I'm going to give you these same 5 things in this video. So if you want to move from discovery into action and actually move into your next season, then stay with me on this. I'll give you 5 real quick, and it will help you move in that direction. The first thing that you'll need to move into your next season or your next chapter is I call them the 5 C's. 5 C's, 5 essentials is actually what I call them. And the first C is clarity. And clarity helps you deal with uncertainty. So you don't want to start on the journey in your discovery process into your next season, kind of guessing what that might be. Throwing darts blindfolded usually doesn't end up well. So you don't want to start by guessing and you're not sure. Let's just try a couple things. Let's go in that direction. That didn't work. Let's go in that direction. You want to take the time to find clarity, to discover what that next season might be. And again, that's why I encourage people to invest the time, the effort, the energy to kind of slow down and go through a discovery process that helps them have an idea. It may still be in the fog. It may not be the 10 clear steps. The picture may not be extremely clear yet, but you at least are having a picture, and it's a picture in the right direction. My journey was I pastored for 33 years, 25 years in one church in Ohio and 8 years in a church in Minneapolis. And in my late 50s, I began to sense there was a new season for me. There was a next chapter. I was to move in what I call my convergence, kind of bringing all the things together of the ingredients in my life and kind of figure out what they were, converge them, and move in that area. And one of the things that I did is I took the time for this clarity step. I hired a coach, and he's a guy that helped me to kind of read my own life, what God had done in me, who I was becoming, who I had become, and some of the signs of what God wanted to do next through me. So again, it wasn't a perfect picture. I didn't have it all together, but I had a basic idea of the clarity of what my next season was. So I would encourage you, the first thing you need and the first essential is you need to take time to get somewhat of a clarity so you can deal with the uncertainty as you move forward into your next season. Again, if you haven't watched the video, watch this video. It's the discovery process of that next season that I do for people. And it's called the 5 Steps to Discovering Your Next Season or Your Next Chapter. So if you haven't watched that, watch that. That's the discovery process. This video is then moving from discovery into action. The next C that I think is essential to move into your next season is what I call conviction and confidence. I know I'm using 2 C's there, but I'm going to use them together. And here's what I have found, that when a person does the time to get somewhat of a clarity, they get an idea of this North Star, a picture of their next, they do some of the work there. What it does for them, it brings them into greater confidence. I see it now. I'm not uncertain. I can see it. And it brings them into a greater, you might say, they're convinced or a greater conviction. I know I need to move in that direction. And it's so important because you're going to have obstacles along the way. There's going to be challenges. We'll talk about some of them in this video. So you need to have really conviction and confidence to be able to now move toward your next season. Your next season, it doesn't just happen. It doesn't drop out of the sky. You're not there one day you're here and the next day you're there. That doesn't happen. So you'll need a growing confidence and conviction that I believe primarily comes out of clarity. And again, I've coached literally hundreds of people through this process of discovery and then into this area of action. And what I've seen when they do the clarity step, it's almost like who they have become and what their next assignment or their next contribution is. It's like it's written on the wall. They see it so clearly. And what that does then, it brings them into greater conviction. I know this is the direction I must go. And it brings them into greater confidence in that direction. Listen, I've done a PDF to help people in this journey, and it's called Helping Them Walk Through the Convergence Zone, which is really what you are in as you're trying to move into your next. I'd love to help you in a practical way. You can simply find that link below. If you hit the link below and you'll get the PDF, it will give you more understanding about convergence, your next season, how to move into it, some of the things you'll need to navigate. So if that can help you in this process, hit the link below, get your convergence PDF so that you can move further into your next season. Now here's the third C, the third essential, and it's what I call courage. And courage helps us deal with the area of fear or self-doubt when we're moving into something that's next. What I have found is when people get excited about the clarity, oh yes, this is my next, and they have a growing conviction and confidence, this third C is one of the most critical areas, because moving into your next season, it takes courage, it takes faith, it takes some risk that's involved. I have seen many people who I've coached actually stall out at this third C. They have an idea of where to go. They're excited about it, how to get there. But then they decide, you know what? I'm not going to roll the dice. I'm not going to risk this. I'm not going to take the steps. I'm not going to make the investment. I'm just going to stay here at my familiar territory. I'm going to stay in my comfort zone. And what often happens is that person ends up not moving forward, not moving into their next. And they usually then get stuck or they stall out. And oftentimes, sadly, as a result, they do not finish well. Because this moving into your next is a defining moment in our life. And if you're a leader in your leadership, so you want to move into courage. Here's what a lot of writers say about this courage step. You and I usually, in the first half of our life, we build our container. We build our marriage, our family, our finances, our vocation, our reputation, our home. We build the areas that we you might say, live in. That's a container. But many writers on this say that to move into your next, to finish well, in the second half of your life, you must be willing to move out of your container. Now notice the words there. I said you must be willing. It doesn't mean you have to. That's not a guarantee. But you must be willing to say, I built this container, but to finish well and to move into my next, I must move out of my comfort zone. I must take some risk. I must have some courage and move someone out of my container so I can build a new container for the second half of my life. Every person that I've coached through this process, when they get into moving to their next, oftentimes it's what I call, they have another Abraham call in their life. What's an Abraham call? God said to Abraham, hey, I'm going to show you a land. It's a land of promise. But to get there, you've got to take the first step. And the first step is to leave your home, leave your container, leave your comfort area, and go out into the desert, find the first sand dune, pitch a tent there, and I'll tell you what's next. It's almost always an Abraham call to move into your next season. For me, back to my story, I had been pastoring for 33 years, and I was in a great church in the Minneapolis area. The church, we loved the city we were at. We loved the people we were at. The church was growing. Externally, there was no reason to leave. I was making more money as a pastor than I'd ever made. But I had that stirring that there was a next season for me. There was something new and something exciting. And so for me, it was going to take courage. I was going to have to roll the dice again, you might say. It was an Abraham call where I felt God saying, hey, go in that direction and I'll show you what's next. And I've been doing that as of the recording of this video for the last 10 years. And I really have been in my next season, my next chapter. I've been in my convergence season of life. And it's one of the most fruitful and fulfilling season that I've ever experienced. Here's the fourth C. And the fourth C helps us with clarity, confidence, conviction, and with courage. The fourth C is what I call walking with a coach or a fellow companion who's already been on this journey and moved into the next. They know the terrain. They know where to move forward. They know how to go slowly at the right times. They know how to push forward at the right times. I tell people all the time, if I were going to hike Mount Everest, which at this season of my life, I definitely never will, but at one time I had a dream to do that. The first thing I would do would be hire a guide or a Sherpa or a coach. Why would I do that? I've never been on the terrain. I don't know where the danger zones are at. I don't know where to push forward. I don't know where to slow down and rest. I don't know where to camp. I don't know all the tools that I need to take with me. So the same idea is when you're going to move into your next season, I would highly encourage you, don't try to do it alone, and don't try to get advice from somebody who's never done it. They've never moved into Convergence. They've never moved into a new season. Take the time, find the person, make the investment if needed, and find someone who can walk with you into your next season. It would expedite the process. You'll miss some of the landmines. You'll get there faster. It will be more enjoyable because you're walking with a coach or a fellow companion toward the next season and the next assignment of your life. You may have heard this, but it's been validated by many studies and many colleges. If you simply have a goal in your mind, you want to move in that direction, that's your dream for your next season. To have the goal in your mind and leave it in your mind, the stats are only 10 to 15% likelihood of you fulfilling your dream or your goal. If you write that goal down and keep it in a place where you see it maybe every day on your desk or whatever, the likelihood of you reaching that goal goes up to 40 to 50%. So there is an increase. But here's the caveat. But if you partner with someone to reach that goal, the likelihood of you fulfilling that goal goes up 80 to 90%. So if you are serious about moving into your next season, into your next chapter, I would encourage you, find a guide, find a coach, find a fellow companion who's done this so they know the terrain, they can walk with you to get you there. And here's the final C. So we've looked at clarity, conviction and confidence, courage, a coach or fellow companion. And the final C then is a clear plan. You probably have heard this quote, a dream without a plan is a fantasy. So in this fifth point, what happens is essential is what I call you move from your compass, from your North Star, from what's out there, from what you see out there, that's the compass. You move your compass to your calendar. That's the way it's been said. And what I mean by that, you begin to then put time in your life to move towards your next season. Like I said earlier, next seasons, they don't just happen. It takes intentionality. It takes investment. So you then have to have a clear plan. But here's the thing with a clear plan. Usually you don't get all 10 steps, but you usually can have the first 3, and the first 3 then will lead you to the next, which will lead you to the next, which will lead you to the next. So don't wait until you have the whole thing figured out. You'll never start. That's what I found in my own life. But at least have a clear plan. I need to do this, then I need to do this, then I need to do this. That will move me in the direction along the path that I want to go to move into my next. Now, when I coach people through this, I don't encourage them to be irresponsible. We don't want to jump off a cliff and hope we find a parachute on the way down. That's irresponsible. But you will need to take steps. And so here's what I tell people to do. If you don't have the margin to move into your next, and what I usually be my margin, if you don't have the time or the money, you don't have extra money or extra time just to say, hey, I'm going to do this and now give all my time to moving into my next. Most people don't have that. And so what happens is what you need to do is what I encourage people to do is to at least invest 10 to 15% of your effort, your energy, your focus, maybe your finances, to gain some skills or hire a coach or whatever. But invest 10 to 15% in the direction you want to go, and then see where that leads you and what doors it opens up. Again, as I coach people, oftentimes they're not able to take the big step. They still have a vocation. They still need to be making the money they are. They have a full-time job. They're a parent or a grandparent. They've got a lot going on. So they can't just say, hey, here I go. And what I encourage them again to do the 10 to 15% investment in that direction. And over what I've seen, it leads to the next season. It leads to the next point of clarity, then to the next point of clarity, and they're able to move into their next season. So 5 essential C's, 5 things that I believe you must do to move into your next. Get clarity, increase in confidence and conviction, take the steps of courage, find a coach or a fellow companion that can walk with you there, and then get somewhat of a clear plan that will move you in that direction. Now, why is this discovery and action process that we're talking about into your next so important? Let me give you 2 reasons. Number 1, it's one of the big places that many people get stuck or stall out, and they end up not living a well-finished life. They just say, hey, I'm here, I'm going to stay here, I'm going to grind it out, I'll see what happens next. I know there's something next for me, but I'm not going to take the steps. And usually they stall out, they get stuck, and usually it's not good for them and for those that they're leading. So that's the first thing. That's a negative part of it. But the positive part of it, if you move into your convergence or your next season, your next chapter, many, many, many times, it becomes the most fruitful, focused, and fulfilling season that a person is ever in. Why? Because it's converging. It's bringing all those things together. And what I like to say is you're doing a few of the right things in the right time, in the right place, with the right people, and you're having this area of focus, fruitfulness, and being fulfilled. I'm in the convergence season of my life. I took a big step 10 years ago now, moved into my next. It is without a doubt the most focused, fruitful, and fulfilling season of my almost 70-year life now. So if I can help you in this, here's 2 ways you can respond. 1, if you have not watched the video on 5 steps to discover your next step, please watch that. That will give you the discovery process. So please watch that. And then the next one, if you would, leave a comment below, maybe a like, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. My channel, my life in this legacy season of my life is all about one thing: guiding followers of Jesus through defining moments in life and leadership. And this moving into your next season is a defining moment. Why? So that people don't get stuck or stall out, but they stay on the right path to ultimately finishing well. Let's finish well. Now's the time for you to take the next steps into your next season.